One of the factors that militates against new Christians growing to maturity and Christians who should have grown to maturity not growing to maturity is the poverty of the teaching they hear or the expectations that they have in church life. I think often that can paint a very false picture of what it means to be a Christian. And actually since the book was originally written, we're kind of become awash, not only in the Western world, but also in many countries in Africa and elsewhere, with the prosperity gospel. And that, you know, if you're really living by faith, you kind of fly to heaven on a cloud of ease and a good chunk of prosperity behind you. And the teaching really verges, I mean, it's not only unbiblical, but it's so destructive to people. I mean, I often think, so what would that seem like to those Christians in China today, even as we speak, whose churches are being despoiled, whose Christian libraries taken away, whose lives are being so pressed down that some of them suffering severe persecution. And yet, you know, when we meet people like that, we Western Christians are in awe of their faith and their faithfulness. And so I think there are many Christians who are reared in a culture, and much of the Christian media, especially the television media, which is so expensive, portrays to people that this is the Christian life will give you your best life now. Yeah. And the Christian life isn't like that, not least because Christ's life was not like that. And we're encouraged in the New Testament to walk in his footsteps. And so we should expect the same pattern in our lives. And then I think another thing that often hinders people in their growth is God takes us as he finds us, but he doesn't mean to leave us the way he found us. You know, I've heard so many people say, God loves me just the way I am. And I think the truth of the matter is he actually loves you despite the way you are. He does love you, but he means to change you. And for all kinds of reasons. In some people, it seems to me that they are almost constitutionally wired to find it difficult to understand God's ways with them. You know, I became a Christian in a Presbyterian background. I've known the Westminster Confession of Faith, you know, since I was a teenager, and I realize I have had things I've needed to unlearn, but I've met so many Christians what they've had to unlearn is what they were taught about what it means to be a Christian. And often that goes down very deep, and often it's surrounded with kind of the prejudices of church life. And I think for some of those younger Christians, it is very, very challenging to begin to grow to maturity, because there are so many weeds that have been planted in their thinking, especially, that need to be uprooted, and it can be a pretty painful process, and naturally we tend to resist painful processes. So I think those would be two of the ways in which, you know, in some people it's a tremendous challenge even to think about the fact that God is calling me to grow to maturity.